I would say the majority of patients experience some side effects.
People get side effects to every medication you try.
They all have side effects.
All kinds of side effects, lots of side effects.
Physical feelings of sickness.
Headaches, insomnia.
They can't sleep, they can't eat.
Drowsiness. Sedation is very frequent. Restlessness.
Appetite stimulation.
Neurologic side effects.
Tremor or muscle spasms.
Stiffness. Weight gain.
Obesity.
Weight gain and stuff like that.
Decreased performance of sexual functioning. Sexual side effects can happen.
Sexual dysfunction, etc.
I've never had anybody die or anything, but I've had people faint and stuff, and it's really sort of unpredictable.
You name it, and it can be a side effect.
Perché gli psichiatri non possono predire le reazioni avverse a cui puoi andare incontro? Perché nessuno di loro sa come agiscono i loro farmaci.
At least with street drugs, people know that they're dangerous, that they should be off of them. With pharmaceuticals, people are told they're safe to take every day.
Ma lungi dall'essere sicuri, i farmaci psicotropi stanno diventando sempre più descritti come tossine chimiche con il potere di uccidere.
Some of the side effects that have become of concern lately are suicide, increased risk of suicide, increased risk of homicide.
These aren't people that were horribly depressed when they were given a drug. These are people who are given a drug for social anxiety or difficulty sleeping or mild depression and then become suicidal. And so when they become suicidal and they kill themselves, what the doctor does is go back and say, oh, well, it's because they were depressed.
The label itself, the disorder, is what is blamed for the side effects. When in reality, it's the drug that is causing the side effect. It is the drug that is the problem.
Farmaci usati come antidepressivi prescritti a Woody Witzak, che li ha presi non per disturbi mentali, ma per aiutarlo a dormire.
My husband and I, Tim, his nickname Woody, we were married just 2 months shy of 10 years, so we've had a long life together. And Woody was a guy who was healthy. He was a big runner. He's never had a history of depression or any other so-called mental illness. He was given Zoloft for insomnia. I find Woody one night completely sweat through his shirt in fetal position, kept going, Kim, you gotta help me, I don't know what's happening to me. It's like my head's outside my body looking in. Kim, help me, help me. We did breathing, listened to music, prayed, anything to calm him down from his head outside his body feeling. And a week later, he was found dead hanging. A guy who loved life.
Gli psichiatri rivendicano che i loro farmaci salvano vite, ma dai loro stessi studi i farmaci psicotropi raddoppiano i rischi di suicidio, con un incremento del fattore rischio di quasi 7 volte.
As a pharmacist who has been studying the problem for the past 7 years, I do see a glaring connection between the high use of these psychoactive substances and the rise of violence.
If people knew that the mechanism was not known of these drugs, that they could cause, if there's a real chance for them to get a homicidal tendency or even suicide, if you take the drug, there's a chance you may want to kill yourself.
And I could repeat probably a dozen other examples of significant self-inflicted harm or significant violence to others in patients who had never had that experience in their adult life.
Pazienti come il nonno Donald Shell del Wyoming.
Donald Shell was a man in his 60s, a gentleman, a family man, a funny man. He had had periodic episodes of depression, but never any real serious mental health issues, and became depressed, had a down period, went to a general practitioner and was given Paxil. 2 days later, he shot his wife, his daughter, his 9-month-old granddaughter, and then himself. The first question the jury was asked, very telling question, can Paxil cause some people to commit homicide and or suicide? To which they answered yes.
Donald Shell stava assumendo Paxil solo da pochi giorni prima dei suoi istinti omicidi. Ma un uso prolungato di farmaci psicotropi ha anche dimostrato che crea danni permanenti, un fatto indesiderato ignorato dagli psichiatri.
In the long run, the side effects may actually be worse than an original condition. I don't think the average patient has any idea that the long-term use of this drug is now associated with very serious diseases, with diabetes, with kidney failure, with tardive dyskinesia, a movement disorder that's very serious and permanent and irreversible.
You can be affected by these drugs in any part of your body, your brain, your heart, your kidneys.
That's why people die early very often, because they are prescribed things and the long-term effects are, in some cases, the death of the individual.
Il maggior danno è creato dalla polifarmacia, dove gli psichiatri creano un'interminabile prescrizione di psicofarmaci per compensare gli effetti di altri.
If you have drugs that create side effects, that gives you a ready market for more drugs to cure the side effects. It seems to me that it's a self-propagating system.
And what ends up happening is that each one of those new drugs that's added into the scenario brings on another symptom for which there's another drug, for which there's another symptom, for which there's another drug.
And it just snowballs into a vicious circle of one drug causing the need for another drug.
Sometimes people come and they're on such a cocktail of so many different drugs for so many different things.
It's rare now that I see a senior citizen that is on less than 5 or 6 drugs at one time. Some 12, 15.
One will lead to the next, and they're all toxic. This is how the game is played.
Dato che gli psichiatri hanno diffuso il loro gioco rimunerativo della somministrazione di farmaci psicotropi sempre di più nella società, i bambini sono diventati le più recenti e tragiche vittime.
Rebecca Riley, 2.5 years old, they diagnosed her with bipolar disorder and ADHD. They had her on an antipsychotic, they had her on a heart drug, they say, for ADHD, and they had her on an anti-seizure. And then one other one for side effects. 4 drugs at 2.5 years old. She can't even zip up her own pants. She's like a little rag doll. The school nurse, 2 teachers, the principal, the social worker, all said they never seen any behavior in this little 4-year-old girl that would warrant these kind of medications. And all specifically called this doctor and said, please take her off these. She died at a little over 4 years old. This little girl that didn't have a chance, and the psychiatrist just let her.
Al posto di venir processato e andare in prigione, lo psichiatra di Rebecca Riley, il dottor Kayoko Kifuji, non ha neanche perso la sua licenza. C'è da chiedersi come fanno gli psichiatri a farla franca. La risposta risiede in un concetto legale conosciuto come standard della cura.
The standard of care is based on what do other doctors do? What would a reasonable physician do in this situation? And the reality is that what most physicians do is prescribe medications.
As long as they've done their paperwork properly and documented that this child had the symptoms that led them to this conclusion, they appear to be completely protected from any kind of a lawsuit as a result.
The standard of care is what allows doctors to seriously injure or even kill a patient with total impunity.
So the standard of care now has been implemented to where you can get away with, if you're a medical doctor, psychiatrist, you can get away with murder.
I decessi continuano ad aumentare. Ora i farmaci psicotropi uccidono circa 42.000 persone ogni anno.
The cost to society is very real and very devastating, but the medicine they're practicing isn't real. It's a hoax.
Profit always comes before patient safety, and they take a very short-sighted view. It's all about how can we make money today, not what price are we going to pay tomorrow.
The trail of destruction that a psychiatrist leaves in his path is of no concern to that guy. It's all about money.
I soldi sono tanti. La psichiatria è oggi un'industria da oltre 300 miliardi di dollari, senza una sola cura. Man mano che ulteriori scoperte vengono promesse dagli psichiatri, il totale dei loro malati, feriti e decessi continua ad aumentare. Quello indifeso è il pubblico, tu, che devi difenderti da solo.
My wife and I are blessed. We have 7 children, and we love them all. They're all our favorites. Each child we have is our favorites. And Beth was extremely special.
She was kind, generous. She had like a really sweet and caring personality.
She had this beautiful smile.
like an inviting.
She could make friends with basically any stranger on the street and get a smile or a laugh out of them.
Beth was having a hard time sleeping for maybe 4, 5, or 6 weeks. And so we said, Beth, you should go to the doctor and get something to help you sleep.